What is up, everybody? Zach from Moto Chronicles. Today we're going to be working on the electrical and lighting system of the 701 Husqvarna Enduro. Plan is to put a switch right here on this side, and we'll be putting a dual USB right here on this side. Brought over from the 501, we got the XL80 with the moto-minded fairing thing for it, and then this wiring's whatever. I'll kind of go over in detail a little bit what I got going on here. Got the Blue Sea dual USB 2.1 amp charger here, and like I was saying before, that's just gonna go right like that. So we're gonna drill an 1.1 hole according to this guy right here. Admittedly, a hole saw would be way better for this, but I don't have an 1.1 hole saw, so we're just gonna use a wood bit. It's just going through a thin layer of plastic, so I don't think it should be an issue. There's a little bit of lip on this too, so if it gets a little marred, it should cover it up. One thing I will say is there's a lot of wires right here, so make sure that you're tucking these out of the way so you don't drill into those. So like I said, a hole saw would have been better for that, but there's your hole. All right, there you have it. Got the nice cover. Never had a problem with Blue Sea stuff getting wet anyway. You can see it is kind of a tight fit in there, but just enough room to make it work. All right, so next thing we're gonna do is install the switch. I got this Sea Dog switch. It's a nice switch, pretty much fully waterproof, and then this rubber cap will screw onto the top of it. Like I said in the intro, this thing's pretty much just gonna mount right there. Should clear all the wires back there. I'm literally just gonna drill a hole, shove it through that way, and tighten it down. There you have it. Nice and waterproof. I've already checked. It sits behind the front plate. So next thing we'll do is pull off the seat. If you haven't pulled off your seat before, there is a black thing right here, little loop. Pull that, lifts the seat up a little bit, lift that up, and you got two snaps on the front. Pop those off, and the seat will just come off. Alright, and then your battery is underneath here. So the plan is to just run the wires from the battery here, run them up along here, meet up with this wire loom. It's down in there that comes out right there. Switching around to the front. That comes out right here, and then we'll have power. I'll throw a bigger fuse. This is a 25 amp switch, so I'll throw a bigger fuse between the switch and the battery, and then I'll throw smaller fuses for both the Hondo Garage wireless charger that I'm gonna put on, and then probably a 10 amp fuse just for the USB. All right, so next thing we're gonna do is pull out these two bolts here. It's a T30. Looks like that slides forward and then up and out. All right, now that we have access to the battery, we're gonna pull off the negative side. This is a T25. So in between the battery connections and the battery terminal on this screw, there's this little washer thing. So make sure you don't just rip the terminals off in there without grabbing this thing first, otherwise it'll fall into the abyss. So next thing we're gonna do is make a little wiring harness. So obviously start up by stripping the wire. Using 12 gauge wire for this. Admittedly, it's kind of excessive, pretty big for what we're trying to do here, but it's what I have on hand, and better too big than too small. So we'll just crimp that down, and grab some shrink wrap and shrink wrap that up. There's our positive wire. All right, so we're gonna start just leaving enough wire here, so we'll be able to connect this to that positive terminal. Should be plenty. We're just gonna run it up along the frame of the bike here. And there's your positive wire to go to the switch. All right, so a little recap. We got the Hondo Garage wireless charging mount hooked up now. It just clamps onto the bars. Admittedly, I'm not overly impressed with it on the bars. On the 501, I had it right here on the handguards, and that was a perfect spot for it. So once the handguards come in for this guy, we'll get it on the handguards in the same spot, and it should be perfect. The mount's great. It blocks the view right here a little bit, but it'll make do for now. As far as the wiring, we got the positive and the negative coming out of the 12 volt USB, and then that ties into this fuse right here, which is a 7.5 amp fuse, and then that goes to the positive side of the switch right there. The Hondo Garage comes down. Here's the loom for the Hondo Garage, and then it comes to this fuse right here, and then that ties in with the other one just to the switch. And then out of the switch we have the positive wire coming out here, and then like we showed you earlier, all the way through here, down under there, and then hooked up to the positive terminal of the battery. And the ground, same thing, along here, through there. And then we got the ground, and we just have the grounds wired together coming from, so we got the ground for the USB and the ground for the Hondo Garage. Tested it out, it all works. So I forgot about this guy. So this is the wiring harness I made when I hooked this up on my 501. You can kind of see where all these wires go here, utilizing a relay I just got from an auto parts store. This is going to get you the same effect as if you bought the wiring harness from Moto Minded or Baja Designs. However, the interesting thing, and I believe it's all wired the same, so I can't quite figure out why, but when you research the Moto Minded site, they'll tell you that your high beam switch stays on. Well, when I do this, the way this is wired, the high beam light on the dash works normally. So sometimes it stays on for a reason that I can't figure out, but 99% of the time it functions as it should. So just show you guys this, give it a little turnaround so you can see how this is all hooked up. And I have confirmed that this will just plug into the 701. The only difference I noticed on the 701 is if you come to this harness here, on the 501, that yellow wire is white, and on here, I'm assuming the yellow, based on all the other colors being the same, the yellow wire is the white wire, which, if I'm not mistaken, is your running lights, and that's why there's only 3 wires going into this, is because the XL80 does not have a running light. However, I also am putting on the Taco Moto fork turn signals, so I got rid of the turn signals on the bike. And then so I'll be wind up taking this little wire tap here, and that'll come into the yellow wire on the headlight harness, and hopefully that all works. So I misspoke on the last part, so if it's cut weird, that's why. If I find a way to edit it, great. But the yellow wire on the 701 is actually the one you're gonna tap. It's that bottom right one on the 701, so it's yellow. And then, as you can see, we got those. We got left signal, right signal. So we're good to go. All right, so just a couple things we had to change to make it work. We had to move the switch down to this lower spot here, which was one of these factory holes. And then the plate will go on there with that. This is fine where it's at. We just had to notch out this guy. So that triangle that you can see there, we just cut away. It still leaves enough for the thing. And then the Baja Designs light this was going up before. It'll fit much better if it's going down. So I had to pull these 4 screws, pull the 4 screws on the front off, and then flip the light over basically. So now it fits. All right, once you get those 2 screws back on, this just goes back on right here. Right down there. And that's that part. Pretty happy with the way it looks. Everything works, so that's always nice. A little bit of modification, but happy that part's done.